So some people call this episode of Degrassi High what they call almost a closure episode. Some major characters are last seen in this episode, while others completely change their personality or become what they call parodies of themselves, although it's well written. But I had a bigger problem with the episode. There's so much product placement in this. It kind of confuses what you're seeing. So today we're going to be talking about the episode itself and talking about why he showed it around Christmas time. Like I said, usually a Christmas episode of Degrassi was very positive. Now, The All-Nighter is the 7th episode of Season 2 of Degrassi High and the 63rd episode of the original Degrassi series. Aired on December 17th, 1990. Now, it's most of the event surrounds about Melanie's surprise sleepover for Diana's birthday. Promises to hold more than one surprise. When Kathleen finds some pot, but things go wrong when Melanie starts to talk about what's in Kathleen's diary. Hoping to bring his two best friends together, Yick persuades Luke, who initially hid the marijuana in the girls' bathroom, persuades him to invite Arthur to a poker game. Joey decides to join the Nerds for Poker, anything to get away from Wheels, who's driving him crazy with his constant snoring and money stealing and food eating. Alex must also pull an all-nighter, who just broke up with Tessa, in order to get an assignment done on time. Now, why it's pretty freaky. This is the second incident of illegal substance abuse in Degrassi history. The first was in Taking Off, where Shane basically had some bad LSD brought in, of course, by Luke, and jumped off a bridge, almost killing himself. Now, the episode, again, not say it's a bottle episode, but we have Caitlin basically reestablished as one pretty well the main female in the show. Joey basically with a nickname for her called her Ice Princess. Now the idea about Melanie exposing all of Kathleen's secrets, including the fact that her mother's a drunk and her ex-boyfriend bet her up on a regular basis, mouths usually open when drugs are involved. We find out that the young lady with cerebral palsy, a very honest question, said, "Do you ever think about having sex?" Well, he said, "I can't feel the same like the rest of you guys, but I'll just make the man work harder." Now, the idea Arthur, who was basically demeaned as a character, and especially first season of Degrassi Junior High, as Stephanie's younger brother, and Stephanie, don't talk to me. He becomes reestablished as a big character in the show because he outwits anyway. He pretends he doesn't know how to play poker, and he basically takes all their money pretty much. But the central idea, Alex is pulling an all-nighter to get it done, and it pans down to him on the typewriter. I guess one of his parents had said, "Go to bed." And there's a Dips box, which was a granola bar. I think it was Quaker. It was a Quaker bar at the time. And Pepsi's very prominent in this. And every pretty well seen at the men's all-nighter and the women's all-nighter, there's it looks like kind of a Pepsi Diet Pepsi can now, but back then the sugar can of Pepsi was white in color. Now there's a scene in the table where there's the girls are around 6 cans of Pepsi, being half dozen people there. Now, in previous episodes, I think one of Lucy's parties that went wrong, they were showing like Tostito, various Doritos and Cheesies. There's a whole episode where Scooter is eating a bag of Cheesies as a plot point in the whole episode. So the idea about Degrassi, again, if you're from a Canadian perspective, maybe even the States, you wouldn't see it. These products or the product labels weren't in the States at the time. And you can't really edit them out. And I think in this episode as well, the all-nighter, Caitlin, I think, is wearing like a Zit Remedy shirt, like a promotional shirt. Like it gets kind of freaky. But what the episode, Kathleen is such a flawed character throughout the series because she thinks she's better than anybody else, and she basically looks down at Rick, our first season bad boy. And basically, she's made a lot of, and she had struggled with eating disorders, bulimia. So she got better, and then they basically made her an asshole in this episode, which makes absolutely no sense. Linda Schuyler, God bless her, she made a lot of good decisions, but all what Wheels went through in the previous season seasons to make him an asshole again. He's reaccepted in the family and kicked out again. What he called a threesome, and putting all the pressure on Snake when he finds Caitlin's ex-boyfriend when he shot himself in the bathroom. Like I said, some of the stuff with Degrassi High, Degrassi Junior High was rough enough, but Degrassi High, like I said, it was just all over the freaking place. There was like 80 different categories of teen angst were pretty well covered in second or third season. You tried to have Spike date again, and it was a conflict with her, one of her best friends, over this kind of Irish-Scottish combination pretty boy, and he basically lectures her about her attitude. And you had one of the major characters who fought to date a black man in a show, a young black man, and they actually have him cheating on her with another black girl while they're on summer vacation. Makes absolutely no sense. So I mean, Degrassi, again, one of the top soap operas of all time, but the plotting is, change for the sake of change is not good enough. And where you basically had Tessa Campanelli's character, who discovered a fire with Scooter in the famous, Degrassi fire ender. She eventually becomes a person that takes Joy's virginity and schools out the movie, which is an extension of the series. And here, it ruins the Joy and Caitlin relationship until it was rejigged later on in Degrassi, the next generation, that the extended series. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a Canadian viewer of Degrassi, I want you to go back to the episodes, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 of Junior, 1 and 2 of High, and you count how many product placements. You don't even see that in Dawson's Creek or the OC, because you're literally seeing characters eating chips or cheesies or drinking pop. There's one scene in the All-Nighter where Luke is smashing a Pepsi can. Like I said, how much Oliver's can he get? And how much money did he pay for product placement? Was they having cost overruns because CBC was helping produce the series on the PWT? It was being syndicated internationally, mostly through PBS stations. So like I said, I like my TV shows, but then again, going to see Superman last week reminded me of the Cheerio box, where in the first movie, Superman's mother was calling Superman in, and the first thing she grabs before she walks over and talks to him is a Cheerios box, which was there was different Superman promotion Cheerios box into 78 and 79. So Degrassi, the all-nighter episode, is 3.5 stars out of 5. I just didn't like the meanness of certain characters, and why Melanie would turn on Kathleen, where Melanie was supported her through her anorexia or bulimia, or whatever you want to call it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like the series, and it's the free episodes of Junior and High are on YouTube, check it out. If you're a Degrassi fan, let me know. But this is, again, a very, very strange episode, and it was almost towards the end of the series. Like, Linda Schuyler and the crew were just exploding relationships for what reason? And usually Joey was never so open about when she basically left him for Claude, and his best friend found Claude, and he basically, like I said, it just made no sense. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you're doing here with our Degrassi podcast as part of a remote control regular column, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.